Take one. For those who don't know you, can you do a brief introduction?
Sure. So Jamie Leonard, co-founder and CEO of the Recruitment events company. We do two things that people might know about, RecFest being one of them. RecFest is the largest event in the world for talent acquisition. In the UK it's 5,000 people, in the US it's 2,500 people. And we have our senior leadership community as well that we have launched in the UK, Middle East, and launching in the US as we speak.
And that is RL 100?
That is the RL 100.
Very nice. So I have been to one RecFest.
Yep.
I went last year, which was the year that Shaker decided to quadruple our footprint and put up a very, very large tent, all encompassing of a bar and a lounge and a green room, which we will be doing again this year.
Fantastic.
And in a bigger way somehow. I joked with Callie, our events coordinator, that it was bigger than my wedding, which was definitely true. This year we are really going to focus more on bringing multiple talent leaders into the space. We will still do the green room with you all, which we're super excited about, but just making it even more accessible with thought leaders and TA leaders as a whole. But what are you really excited for?
Well, number one for that, I thought Shaker's contribution to RecFest last year was fantastic. As I mentioned to you before we started talking, we now kind of hold it up as this is the platinum. This is what you do if you want to make an impact at RecFest. I thought the work that the marketing team here did last year was incredible, and that's mostly what people were talking about on the day. It added huge value to it. For me, I suppose it's scaling RecFest. So year one we were 1,000 people, year two 2,000. We'll probably be around 2,500 this year. As you know, there's still constraints around travel and stuff with some companies. But it's the scale. We're moving out of Bicentennial. Bicentennial has been a great venue for us. It's absolutely iconic. It has that amazing view line of the hill and the building at the top of it. But we've now got too big for it. And like you saw last year, we were bursting on it, especially when we've got amazing companies like yourself come back saying we need to be bigger. So when everyone wants to get bigger, you run out of space quite quickly. So we're going to be hosting RecFest at the fairground, which is slightly further up, about 10 minutes out. It gives us a bunch of green space to play with, and I'm excited for that, just to kind of scale it up a bit. And I think also as well that it's a tough time in recruitment right now. We know that the industry needs something to look forward to. The industry needs something to get behind. People need to get together and remind themselves what makes talent acquisition, recruitment, that the industry will fall in love with. I think sometimes it's hard to do that in the world we live in. So we're looking forward to just putting on a really great show for the audience, bringing everyone together, celebrating talent acquisition, and giving a bit of a boost to the market.
I love that. So last year we launched the new Shaker Evolved branding.
Yep.
This year we'll be rolling out our 75th anniversary, and we are really treating RecFest as the kickoff point to that in October, which is super exciting. As you look to kind of build out, especially at the fairgrounds, which I can't wait to see, how did you come up with this outdoor festival format?
Stupidity. Real stupidity, especially if you're launching something outdoors in the UK. We don't have a track record for very good weather. It really stems back from, if I go back to probably 15 years ago, events in our space were really, really bad for the most part. And I remember going to a lot of the conferences when I was not in the event space, but still in talent acquisition, and it all followed a very similar format. It was the beige walls, regurgitate content, a bad cup of coffee, triangle sandwich at lunch, and then maybe a warm glass of red wine at the end, and that was the networking. And I just thought I thought it could do with freshening up. And I've always been someone that takes inspiration from outside the industry. I think sometimes we become an echo chamber, and the same ideas, the same voices go around. And when I looked at other events, Burning Man, Glastonbury, Comic-Con, we wanted to sort of bring some of these more consumer-focused aspects into it, because what those events do very well, more than most events do in our industry, is they create an emotional anchor to the audience. Comic-Con is one where hardcore fans will come every single year because that's their event. That's where they meet their tribe. So we just thought, well, if we could take something that feels more like what you do on the weekend and put it into a business sense, then we might be able to build that emotional anchor. I've always loved festivals. My family's always loved festivals. And we just looked at that concept and said, I love the music at a festival, but the music's secondary for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the connection between the human beings that you build within that environment that really counts. And we thought, well, we can replace musicians with speakers. We can replace, some of the bars and sort of, side stages with our sponsors and our vendors. And we can try and create something where people feel that connection and to the point where it's the first thing in their diary every year. How do you create an experience that people want to go back to? And you can't really do that just doing the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
So we took the format, we took the chance. We've been very lucky with the weather so far in the UK. US last year was a little bit wet. I remember laying down towel on the floors in your stage. But look, this is, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. It's the outdoor experience that connects with people. So yeah, I think that's always been the idea is what's the difference between an event and an experience? An event is something you do between two bits of time. So for example, brushing your teeth 3 weeks ago is an event. An experience stays with you. It makes a part of who you are. And we've all got those experiences where you can still remember the first time you fell off a bike when you were a kid because that was an experience. So how can you create that experience in an event and just have those moments where people go, there was 4 or 5 moments within that day, those 2 days, that just really connected them. So yeah, it's being a little bit different, focusing on the experience and just wanting to really do something that hadn't been done before.
I love that. I will say it is the hottest ticket here at Shaker. There's a long list of individuals who are going to Cali asking how they can get an invite this year. I don't know if I'm going to make the list yet, but we'll see. Maybe this little interview will push me to the top of that. But no, and you know what I would say, you mentioned the weather, but I actually thought last year was a lot of fun. It was pouring rain, everyone got wellies, we all went to the store, we prepared. But I remember walking into the tent and there were hundreds of people and everyone had a drink and Joe Shaker was handing out champagne. And if anything, that was the connection point. People just had a good laugh and we had a great conversation. Everyone extended a little bit of fun time and then we met up afterwards. And so I thought that actually just brought everyone together versus people just kind of funneling out of the event, especially given you're outside.
Yeah, I think, sometimes it's that shared experience. It's a blitz mentality, when things go awry in that situation, people come together.
Yeah.
And it becomes part of that shared experience. It's, hey, do you remember that time I was at RecFest and it chucked it down with rain and we're all, that's part of it all of a sudden. So, it was, we were panicking, but everyone else looked like they were having a lot of fun.
No one else cares. They knew what they signed up for. Exactly. They were just happy to be outside. We have one question that we ask at Shaker, and we actually started doing this at RecFest last year.
Yep.
What is your number one piece of advice for talent leaders going into this next year or just in general?
I think look to other areas outside of just hiring because we might not be doing a lot of hiring for a while. And I think as a TA leader, talent leader, looking at things like talent mobility, looking at sort of some of the other areas where things like background screening as an example, still a lot of interest in that market at the moment. You don't have to do a ton of hiring for that to affect what you're doing. I think we have to do more. Leaders have to do more. We can't just rely on I write job copy, I put it on the job board and get the applications in. I think it's a buzzword, but AI is going to change a lot of this now. How many people will be in talent acquisition? That's the question. You've got a lot of the roles that previously took up a lot of the worker population. They're going to go away. So whether companies repurpose them or whether they just eliminate them entirely, I think you're going to see a market that gets a little smaller. Talent leaders need to learn a few new skills, and they have the opportunity with AI as well. Be the first one, to go out and really grab hold of it before the other departments do, because you can make a big difference that way. There's definitely going to be more with less, unfortunately, over the next 12 months, and I think that's a skill in itself. And just be adaptable. Look, resilience for me is the key word as a talent leader. Resilience over the next 12 months is going to be absolutely key, and then we'll see what comes in. So,
well, we were talking about that earlier. Definitely doing more with less. But to your point, I think it's a key focus on internal mobility, upskilling.
Absolutely.
Even my teams, we are constantly looking at AI and how we can better leverage those tools just to start making more efficient use of our day. But ultimately, that's going to lead to better, more strategic recommendations for clients and digging into projects that maybe got pushed aside in the past. And so finding where those opportunities lie will be huge. And then to your point, maybe it's not just the recruitment marketing, like traditional strategy of sponsoring a job, but really looking at your onboarding process, your full candidate experience life cycle, your technology stack, and finding out where you can make those improvements along the way.
Absolutely.
Well, Jamie, thank you for being the first at our new Vision Lab here at Shaker. Appreciate you coming in. We're so excited to see what happens. Everyone, you can continue to follow Shaker and RecFest updates in general coming out of this. And we look forward to seeing everyone in the green room and at the Shaker booth, which doesn't really put into words, the Shaker event tent at RecFest. And we will see everyone in October.
Excited about it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks a lot.